Right, good evening, guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight for building a healthy relationship with food. I always forget to check before I hit the record button, but Stephen, I'm looking at you, mate. Could you give me a thumbs up? You can see my slides. Fantastic. Cheers, mate. Appreciate that. So welcome to the first masterclass of the 8-week Kickstarter program. Now, you've had a couple of open offices, you've had a welcome video and things like that, but this is the first masterclass, building a healthy relationship with food. And as you are hopefully fully aware, everything that we do inside of the Life Proof program, whether you're in the full program or whether you're in the Kickstarter program, is always based around creating sustainable change. And possibly the biggest part of creating sustainable change is creating and maintaining a really healthy relationship with food and a healthy relationship with yourself as well, which is why I have decided to put this on as our first masterclass tonight. This is something that I've delivered a few times now, and I always change it and iterate it, make adjustments to it as I go. But this is something that I really enjoy delivering because, as I mentioned, building a healthy relationship with food and yourself is the biggest aspect. People often say, when I lose weight, it will make me happy, but really it's the other way around. When I am happy, I will lose weight. And that is probably for some people something that will hit you really hard. When I'm happy, I will lose weight. When I appreciate myself and treat myself in the right way, that is the thing that makes me lose weight. It's not the weight loss that makes me happy, it's the happiness that makes me lose weight. So even if you think that potentially your relationship with food is pretty good right now, there will be big takeaways for you to grab from this evening. And if you think your relationship with food is not so good or needs some work, then this is going to be absolutely fantastic for you, some real golden nuggets. So to kick things off, I'm going to do my best to remember to move the slides on, as I'm terrible at remembering. I'd love to get a few shares. I know there's only a few of us on the call live tonight, but I'd love to get a few shares if I can find my chat box. What does a healthy relationship with food look like to you? What does a healthy relationship with food look like to you? What does it mean to you? And when you do, don't overthink it, but the first thing that comes to mind, when you do think of this, first thing that comes to mind, why do you believe that that is what a healthy relationship with food is? Because one of the things we're going to cover tonight is where our beliefs around things come from and why we have certain beliefs and certain behaviors around food. So we've got eating foods in moderation, eating when hungry or for fuel. Okay, cool. Choosing wisely. Good. We could potentially go a little bit deeper than that as well. But why do you think you believe that? Why do you think it is that's what you believe? And if you were to rate your current relationship with food, if you were to give it a 1 to a 5 rating right now, how would you rate it? And I want complete honesty here. If you think it's good, let me know it's good. If you think it's terrible, let me know it's terrible. How would you rate your relationship with food? And when I'm thinking, we're going to go into this in such depth tonight, but when I'm talking relationship with food, do you use food for comfort? Do you unnecessarily restrict certain foods and rule them out? Do you potentially look at food as good and bad? Do you negatively think about food in certain ways and feel guilty for eating certain foods? All of these things is going to contribute. So 1 would be low, 5 would be high. And at the end of the day, if we all had a fantastic relationship with food and food wasn't the main problem that causes us to become stuck, we wouldn't potentially be here tonight. We wouldn't be on this program. We wouldn't be seeking out something that improves our relationship with food over time. Good, but I know I eat a bit too many treats and have lacked the understanding. Cool. So sometimes it can be, and we're going to cover this in a second as well, it can be just the knowledge base. It might not be that you need to build a better relationship with food and a better relationship with yourself. It could be more based around knowledge, just needing to know what to do and how to structure your diet, for instance. But when you think about your relationship with food right now, what is, if anything, something that you'd like to change? Is there anything that comes to mind when you think of changing your relationship with food? As I mentioned a second ago, I would love to get reasonably specific on this and not just something generic like, I want to stop eating shit in the evenings or eating crap in the evenings. I'd love to get to the deeper reasons for what it is that causes you to potentially turn to food in the evenings, turn to snacks in the evening. What are the triggers? What are the emotions behind it? And let's also think about the reason that we're on this journey, the reason that we're here tonight, the deeper lying reasons. Why do you actually want to improve that particular aspect with your relationship with food? What's the benefit? What's the result behind the result? What do you achieve as a result of fixing your relationship with food and achieving your weight loss goals? Because it's not the weight loss that we're after. Yes, the weight loss is fantastic, but it's the things that the weight loss brings. It's the health that it brings. It's the opportunities in life that it brings. It's the confidence that it brings. And then the confidence in itself leads you to be having different opportunities that you can do. So really do think, why not just stay as you are? Why not just give up with it right now and stay as you are? Why are you actually putting all of this time and effort and energy towards it? What's the consequences of not fixing this? So boredom. So boredom eating is something that you'd love to fix with your relationship with food. Not planning properly, not making full balanced food, skipping meals. For me, never really understood the calories in portions, and I can indulge in too many sweet treats. Cool. Thank you very much for your shares. I will be asking a few more shares in a while, but I'm going to do a little bit of talking to you now. So if you have any questions, pop in the chat box and I'll check it in a second. So in these masterclasses, I like to look into the problems, the main problems that I see. I then like to look into some of the solutions to fixing these problems, some of the principles to fixing these problems. So problem number one is that most people are unaware of their relationship with food. And I'm going to not skip past this, but I'm going to move past this reasonably quickly because we've covered the competency framework and the competency spectrum in a few different sessions so far already. But most people are unconsciously incompetent. They are what we would call ignorance is bliss. Ignorance, you don't know what you don't know. You mindlessly eat. You have very little structure to your food. You put very little thought, or I should say these people put very little thought towards the composition of the nutrient value of the foods. They don't really eat with any real purpose or intention. They just eat at random times. They eat the foods that they like. They don't think about the nutrition behind the food. They don't listen to the hunger cues. They don't eat slowly. They don't allow themselves to digest their food and to actually feel your stomach stretch and to fill up and to feel those signals sent to the brain to tell you that you don't need to keep eating. They are completely unaware of the decisions or why they make decisions to eat certain foods. It is just complete subconscious food decisions. So this is what someone in the unconscious incompetence phase would be doing. They would be stuck, they would be doing the wrong things, but they wouldn't even be aware that they're doing the wrong things. And I've said it many, many times before, but when you're feeling those HALT emotions, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, anxious, and stressed, you need to halt. You need to be vigilant. You need to be really careful, because when you're feeling HALT emotions, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, anxious, and stressed, this is when you're most likely to slip up. This is when you're most likely to cave and turn to foods that are going to be easy for comfort and to satiate and not satiate, to make you feel good, I should say. So the next phase, and again, we have covered this before, but the next phase is the the conscious incompetence. So after unconscious is the conscious. You're now aware of it. You've moved past the I don't know what I don't know phase. This phase is actually probably harder than phase one. In fact, it's definitely harder than phase one, because you're still doing all the wrong things. You're still turning to food for comfort, but you're not quite aware of how to fix it. You haven't got the ability to fix it. And it could be one of many areas, but you might not have the right tools. You might not have the right knowledge. You might not have the right levels of support. You might not have the will to change right now. It might not mean enough to you right now to want to change it. And that is okay. We're all on a journey to get into that place. You may not have the belief that you can change it. The belief is something that is a really, really hard aspect to build up, because every time we cave, every time we turn to food for comfort, every time we do the things that we know we're not supposed to do, we build up a little bit of evidence in our minds that we can't. And every time you choose to do the thing that you are supposed to do and do the difficult thing, you build up some evidence that you can. And eventually over time, we want to build up the column with the little ticks in it that says I can, and start to let the column that says you can't fade away. And that's how you start to build up your self-belief and start to change the way that you view. Because if you believe that you can't, you never will. if you believe that you're not going to achieve these results, it won't happen for you. And as I said, you could be missing one area, you could be missing several, you could be missing all of them. You might not have any support, you might not have any knowledge around this, you might not have any tools on how to cope with certain things, and you might be lacking in belief as well. If you're lacking in one or two, it'll be easier to fix. If you're lacking in all of them, then it can be a lot harder to fix and will take a lot more time. Stage 3 is that conscious competence. So this is where you will spend 75% of your health and fitness journey whilst you try to rewire your brain. Stage 3 is where you know what you need to do, you're able to do the right thing, but it's not subconscious to you yet. It's not easy. You still have to work at it. And the final stage, this is the stage where you are what I call life proof. This is why it's called the life proof program. You're a life proof person. Your new behaviors, your exercise routines, your nutrition routines, these are a part of you. It's a part of your natural behaviors. Your brain chemistry and your neural pathways in your brain have literally rewired to the point where you do this without any motivation needed. It is just a part of who you are. People say to you, how are you so motivated all the time? How do you get to the gym so many times in the week? How do you eat these like healthier foods? And you say, well, it's just what I do. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to find motivation for it. It's just a part of me. And when someone is in either of the first two phases, in the incompetence phases, it means that they're doing the wrong things with their nutrition and they're fundamentally stuck. They're staying stuck. And there are many, many reasons for this. But getting to this position and building a bad relationship with food doesn't just happen overnight. It can come from many, many different areas. It can come from childhood. It can come from when your parents potentially didn't feed you a particularly healthy diet. It can come from so many different areas. It's very multifaceted. And things have started to change maybe in the last 15, 20 years. But historically, there have been a lot of societal beliefs as well. So there have been loads of beliefs. If you read any kind of women's magazine in the 1980s and maybe in the 90s as well, you would have had so much negativity about being overweight. There would have been so much media that you could consume to make you feel bad if you didn't look a certain way, if you didn't have a certain figure. And there would have been a lot of messages being fed into you, into your subconscious, like breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Not necessarily. That you shouldn't eat after 8 p.m. No reason why you can't eat after 8 p.m. A moment on the lips is a lifetime on the hips. These are all the things that you would have been told maybe when you were growing up that actually are not true. Bread is bad for you. You need to cut out bread. Not true. There are no reasons why you have to cut anything out. The only foods that you shouldn't eat are the foods that you either do not like or you're allergic to. So can anyone else think of anything else? Any others that are like a moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips? Does anything else come to mind that you might have heard when you were growing up? Because all of this stuff contributes towards your relationship with food. I'm sure there are others. They might not come straight to mind right now, but I'm sure there are others. So just catching up with the chat box here. So Pete said, for transparency, I have at times worked around alcohol. So I would put in my booze calories and eat what calories were left, which in result never worked because with the booze, you then hit the food apps. Yes, you end up on sort of Just Eat and Deliveroo and things like that. When you've been drinking, you lower your inhibitions totally. Fridge pickers wear big knickers. That's a really, really good one. Excuse me. And the message above, not realizing when you reach satiety. So I'm just trying to think back to what that would have been in relation to. So I guess maybe when you're not eating mindfully, you're not eating slowly, one of the things that you might struggle with is you don't actually realize when you're full. So little tips and little tactics that you can put in place is firstly, just slow down, eat your food a little bit slower, chew it, feel the sensations, like notice the flavors and the textures of the food. Every time you take a mouthful of food, take a mouthful of water and just slow down and enjoy it. Make food a bit of an occasion for you to sit down with your other half if you have one and to actually enjoy a meal. We can so often in such our busy lives, we can rush to grab food. We can sit in front of the telly and just distract ourselves. If you're working from a laptop, you might be sat on your laptop doing some work whilst you're eating. As best as you can, try and eat away from your desk. Try and eat away from where it is that you work or the distractions that you have around you and actually be engaging with the food that you've got. The more mindful you can be around food, the less calories that you'll eat, and the more nourishing food you'll eat as well. And again, being mindful puts you into this phase. If you're mindful, you're being competent. When you're not mindful, you're in these phases. If you're not being mindful, you're just going through habit. And right now, habit is the thing that's keeping you stuck, which is why you're on this program. I don't mean that in a negative way, but you're in this program to change habits, to change behaviors, right? So yeah, thank you for that. Fridge pickers wear big knickers is definitely a good one. No carbs before marbs. That's a more recent one. No carbs before marbs was a Towie thing. I think before they all went to marbs or Marbella, they'd all cut out carbs, and that was something that in my, I guess, teenage years that I would have seen if I watched Towie. I never did watch Towie, but that's something that I would have probably absorbed as a message if I was a 14, 15-year-old girl and Towie was at its peak. You would have heard no carbs before marbs. So these things can contribute to your relationship with food. Everything that you absorb from childhood, everything you absorb from media, magazines, these can hinder your relationship with food. If you have been abused, if you've got trauma, if something has happened to you in your life, this can negatively impact your relationship with food as well. If you have volatile emotions, and the only way you know how to cope with those volatile emotions is to turn to food, obviously that's going to be a huge barrier to success. And long story short, your relationship with food is formed for your entire life, and often it takes a long time to understand it fully and to actually change things. It's not going to be overnight quick fix. No matter, this is a really important part as well. This is a really important thing to say. No matter what caused, and I really want you to listen up and hear this point, no matter what caused or is currently causing the issues that you're having with your relationship with food, no matter whether it was your fault or not, whether it is caused through trauma that has happened to you in your past, whether it was caused by magazines and diet culture from 20 years ago, it might not be your fault, but it's 100% your responsibility to do something about it. It might not be your fault that you're in the position that you're in right now, but it's your responsibility to do something about it. No one's going to come and do it for you. No one's going to come and chew the food and lift the weights and do the exercise for you. It's your responsibility to make the change. Being here tonight and being on this program is a massive, massive step forward, by the way. So I want to commend you for that. But it's not your fault potentially, but it's your responsibility to change things. So problem number 2 is tactical solutions for emotional problems. And I mentioned this a minute ago. I can't remember the context I mentioned it in, but it's very, very common for people when they want to get in shape, whatever get in shape means. We're not a shape, we're human. But when people want to get in shape, we search for tactics. We search for little tips and tricks. And we will do things like, as I mentioned a second ago, not eat after 8 p.m. Whether you eat all your meals at 10 a.m. or you spread them out across the day, or whether you have one big meal or 5 meals across the day, or whether you train in the morning or train in the evening, these things aren't going to make any difference if the reason that you're overeating is because you're stressed and you can't manage the stress. So you end up turning for tactical solutions, changing your eating times for a problem that actually comes from emotion, from the stress, from the anxiety. You have to fix the emotional problem. And then when you understand and are able to overcome the emotional problem, that's when the tactics and the techniques and the tips and tricks come into play. If you think about an iceberg, you know what they say about an iceberg? You see sort of 10% of the iceberg above the surface of the water, and you see the other 90% below. The 10% at the top, this is the tactics. This is the tricks and tips and the things that we do where we spread our calories out and we borrow calories from certain days so we can enjoy a meal out. The 90% below is the deep inner work where we improve our relationship with ourselves and with our emotions. When we can get on top of that, everything else falls into place. Everything else becomes 10 times easier. Win the mental game and everything else falls into place. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people at this point. I've been working specifically online since 2017. And I stopped personal training in 2021, I think it was now, and been working just online for the last 3 years. And from working with all of these people over the years, I've learned that the large majority, 95%, need support around the way that they think and the way that they deal with emotions, and much less support with their food. They know that they need to eat 5 fruit and veg a day. They know they need to eat quite a lot of protein. They know they need to monitor their calories. It's actually the emotional aspect that they need the most support with. Just as a show of like thumbs up or something in the chat box, or yeses. I've lost the chat box for now, but just let me know, have you ever said something like this? I know what to do, I just don't do it. I'm going to guess for Stephen here. I think Stephen might be more of a knowledge gap. I think you mentioned before that it's more like not knowing what to do around calories and things. Other people will quite often say, I know what to do. I know I've been on all the diets. I've got all the knowledge to some degree, but I just don't do it. The reason behind that will be an emotional thing. The reason behind it will be the inner, deeper line work, the relationship that you need to build with yourself. Just having the tactics isn't enough. You have to have the thinking behind it as well. And the good news is that is the deeper inner line work, whether you know it or not. That's the deeper inner line work that we do on these calls. And if you're lucky enough to be in the main Life Proof group and you have one-to-one coaching calls with me as well, this is the kind of work that we do in those calls. And at the end of the day, if you've ever said, I know what to do, I just don't do it, that's a little bit of an oxymoron in itself, because if you truly knew what to do, you would be doing it. So the gap that you have is that you don't know how to implement it. You might have the knowledge of the tactics, but you don't have the thinking. You don't know how to implement the tactics into your thinking. And that is what I have spent a lot of money training myself up and educating myself in learning how to help people, is to implement the tactics into their thinking and to help people to develop their relationship with themselves. And therefore they start treating themselves in a better way and stop eating so much food and stop turning to food for comfort and things like that. Problem number 3. Environment often will dictate behavior. This is a really easy fix, far, far easier than if you have a really complex relationship with yourself and with emotions. If you have an environment that currently does not support your change that you're wanting, this is the easiest thing that you can fix. So if you walk into the kitchen and somewhere in the archives of the folders of my MacBook, I have an environment checklist. If anyone wants it, let me know and I can send it over. It's a checklist that I used to use when I was personal training years ago, where you would walk around your house and there would be things that would say like, can you see food when you walk into the kitchen other than like a fruit bowl? And if the answer is yes, you can see like a biscuit tin or something, that would give you a minus score. If you can see a fruit bowl, that would give you a plus score, things like that. So if you want the environment checklist, let me know and I can send that over. Let me grab a pen and write it on the back of my hand because Kate said she wants it. So, as I mentioned, the environment that you have can have a significant impact on your eating decisions, and in turn then can affect your relationship with food. Knowing poison, I'm always writing on the back of my hand, so I don't know if that's actually bad for you or not, but I write on the back of my hand like every day. If more unhealthy foods are readily available, if more unhealthy foods are in your eyesight, your line of sight, is that right? Your line of sight, then you're more likely to turn to them and choose them. When you see something that you know is tasty, think it's a myth. Yeah, I should think so as well. I'll probably be dead by now. If you see food that you know you've had before and it's really tasty, you might not have been craving it before, but you see it and now you want it. That's how advertising works. They make the food look as delicious as possible. Look at McDonald's burger on an advert. The McDonald's burger on an advert looks pristine. When you get the burger and you unwrap it, it looks like a piece of shit. It's all squished and it's all like lopsided. It's never what it looks like on the advert. So yeah, you can crave foods just from seeing it. So if you see certain foods in your environment, put them on the top shelf, move them away, put them behind healthier foods so you're not as tempted to eat them. Better than that, don't stock them. Don't stock them if you know that you can't stop yourself from eating them. We can also adopt the behaviors of those that we spend a lot of time with. So if you have a partner that wants to take away on a Friday night, but you're trying to be good, that's obviously going to be a big challenge for you. If you're out in social situations, I know it's incredibly hard for me to go and meet my mates down the pub and not have a beer. I know that when I go to the airport, it could be 5 a.m. I'm going to the pub in the airport. I'm going to the Red Lion at Gatwick and I'm going to have a beer. It doesn't matter that it's 5 a.m. I'm on my holidays. I'm going to the pub and I'm having a beer. When else would you have a drink at 5 a.m? Hopefully, most people here, everyone here, you wouldn't have a drink at 5 a.m. But because you associate going on holiday with having a beer, you're like, oh, it'll be rude not to. And I will. I'm going on holiday in a couple of weeks' time. I'm definitely having a beer, and it will be like 7 in the morning. But that's just an example of how environment dictates your behavior. You go to the airport pub, you have a beer. And finally, as I mentioned a second ago, advertising. If you're seeing unhealthy foods regularly being advertised, this can cause you to crave and think about foods. You could drive past a McDonald's or a KFC. KFC is the big one. I drive past the KFC and the smell is amazing. The smell of a KFC you can smell from miles away. I might not at all be craving KFC, but if I drive past the KFC with the windows down, I can smell it. Just the smell is the cue. Think about the cue, routine, reward loop that I showed you the other night. You've got the cue first. The routine is doing the thing. The reward is what you get from it. The reward from food can be reduction of stress. It can be pleasure. It can be the nice taste. It can be that it feels like something to do whilst it keeps you entertained. The cue in that instance would have been smelling the KFC. The routine would have been, I'm on my way home from work, I smell that KFC. So the routine is driving through the drive-through and getting it and eating it. The reward is it tastes good, it's palatable, the textures are nice. I don't feel hungry anymore. My stress is reduced. I'm not bored anymore. That's the reward. You can change the routine. The cue is going to be the same. You could change the cue potentially. If the cue is driving past KFC, on the way home from work, take a different route, take a longer route home and avoid the KFC. Again, being mindful about this and actually kind of pinpointing where are you going wrong? What are the things that are causing this? What is the trigger to me eating it? If I like to eat sweet things in the evening, or I turn to sweets and treats, and I know I really shouldn't be because it's holding me back from my goals, what are the steps before this happens? What's actually causing this to happen? Problem number 4, don't worry, we haven't got like 10 problems, we've got 5 problems, and then we're going to go into the solution. So we are about halfway through. If you feel I am absolutely just talking at a million miles an hour. Problem number 4 is that we can turn to extremism or all or nothing approaches. So we can completely go into like from 0 to 100 approach. When you start, 99 problems, but the ain't one of them. Yeah, that's Jay-Z song, I think you're referring to there. Extremism or all or nothing. When you start a new program like this, when you start a new plan or a new diet, usually motivation is pretty high. You're quite excited to do it, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with when you start wanting to give this process your all. When you're feeling really, really motivated, or maybe when stress is low, time is high, energy is high, it's absolutely okay to give this your all and to maybe be a little bit more restrictive and to move a little further down the line of 0 to 100. But people often try to unnecessarily completely overhaul their entire lifestyle. So you might be struggling with all of these different things and you try and completely overhaul them all at once, and it becomes really overwhelming. And it then becomes unsustainable. Any results that you get, you end up back to square one, which is incredibly frustrating. And this also then leads to building a poor relationship with your food as well. And one of the issues that people can face early on when they follow an approach that's too restrictive or too extreme is they might be invited to social events and they just either cannot go to the social event at all, or they go and they've got no off switch. They turn up, and because their friends maybe take the piss, they end up caving into temptation because everything that they wanted they couldn't have, and it's the forbidden fruit that they end up having in far too much quantity than they would have done if they just allowed themselves to go and to eat in moderation. Again, not building a great relationship with food. Something I would want to cover as well, I mentioned this on my close friend stories the other day, you might have seen it. The caveat to being too restrictive is being too flexible. So you've got one end of the spectrum of being like far too flexible and just trying to fit as much junk into your calories as possible. And the other end is being too restrictive and just trying to eat all the boring, bland foods. If you try and be too flexible too early on, you can end up kind of shooting yourself in the foot because you will understand that you need to have a certain amount of calories and you'll be able to fit a load of junk into those calories. But it means you end up feeling too hungry. You feel a bit crap because you're not fueling yourself in the right way. You build up that bad relationship with food again. I'd love to know, can anyone relate to this? Have in the past you been maybe too restrictive with your food, or have you tried to be too flexible? I'm going to mention what Pete mentioned in the chat earlier. The absolute epitome of being too flexible is probably putting your booze in and then trying to filter in the food around the calories from the booze. it's really not going to end well. So yeah, Kate, you've done that, giving up everything, and you're right, not sustainable. Lost 3 stone, but then put it back on again. So whilst it did work, it didn't work. But then you can also be a little bit too far in the other way. Not you specifically, but it can be when people join my program, and I don't make you rule anything out. I don't make you say I have no rules around. You're an adult. If you ever join a program and someone says you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have this, you're literally adults. I'm not here to parent you and to tell you what you can and can't have. But if you try and be too flexible and you try and fit too much stuff into the calories that you've been allotted, then it's going to cause you to spin your wheels because you're going to be too hungry. You're going to have a sluggish feeling from not fueling yourself with the most nourishing foods. So there are two ends of the spectrum. Yes, restricted on the old school diets. Honestly, never tried. Had 3 squares of chocolate the other day and loved it. I usually would smash the bar. That's really, really good. I'm really, really pleased to hear that. Not many people can say that. So again, I think the biggest value that you're going to take from this process is having the knowledge around what it is to do. Your relationship with yourself and with food might be already in a reasonably strong position. Again, there'll be plenty to take away from tonight, and I'm sure you've already taken a few bits. But as you mentioned, I've been the opposite. Yeah, so you probably kind of void from one end of the spectrum to the other. Final one, problem number 5, and we've covered this in so much depth already, but poor relationship with yourself. When you have a negative perception of your own self, this will cause you to self-sabotage. This will cause you to treat yourself badly. When you respect yourself, when you have compassion for yourself, you will treat yourself much better than if you hate yourself. If you really hate the person you are, you will try and punish that person. And the reasons behind this are incredibly multifaceted, and it's not my job to understand them. This is something that a therapist would really look into, or counseling. But one of the reasons for self-sabotage with food, if you have a poor relationship with yourself, is that you honestly want to keep yourself stuck. You want to keep yourself in this comfort zone. It's almost as if it feels safer to stay with the devil you know than the devil you don't. If you're in a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort and you really don't like the position that you're in, any kind of change feels quite scary to you. So when you start to take some positive action, you then self-sabotage it because that change, you don't know what it's going to be. You only know the pain that you're in, and the devil you know can sometimes feel safer than the devil you don't. And that's one of the reasons why people keep themselves in their comfort zone, despite the fact that it's a painful place to be in. Self-limiting beliefs will play into that as well. When people genuinely believe that they're not good enough, that they're broken, that they're somehow faulty, that their metabolism is broken, which isn't possible, or that they actually don't deserve results, then those self-limiting beliefs really become what we call like self-fulfilling prophecies. You start to believe and behave as the person that has such low self-belief, and you start behaving your way to a bad place. The opposite of that is the whole like fake it till you make it. It's manifestation. It's believing that you can achieve things so that you behave your way to achieving them. If you wake up every day and look in the mirror and say, I can do this, I can do this, I've got this, I have the ability to change, you're gonna do it. If you wake up every day and look in the mirror and call yourself a fat, lazy piece of shit and you're not worthy of doing anything good for yourself, how are you gonna behave? You're not gonna do it. So really do watch the self-talk, really watch how you speak to yourself, watch the language that you give to yourself, give yourself compassion when you screw up. Learn from it 100%, but be compassionate to yourself. There's no point beating yourself up. You can't hate yourself into change. And when you do believe that you can do it, you adopt yourself. You adopt the identity of the person that has the results that you want. And you start moving yourself towards it. You pull yourself towards that person because you behave as that person would. I need to stop that. I feel seen. Yeah, we can all do it, mate. We can all do it. And I catch myself sometimes, even if I'm saying it in jest, even if I don't know, I might spill something. I might be making my oats and I'm stirring too vigorously and the oats fall out the side of the bowl. And you say something like, oh, you fucking idiot. It's said in jest. It doesn't mean anything. I don't really think I'm a fucking idiot, but my body and my subconscious doesn't know that. And the more I say that, the more I'm going to believe that I'm a fucking idiot. That's just a really sort of blasé example, but your body and your subconscious absorbs the way that you talk to yourself. And that might sound a bit hippy dippy, but it's the science backs it up. So can I just check in and make sure that one, everyone is still with me? and two, that all of that makes sense. I think self-talk is such a key aspect to the results that we get, because the way you talk to yourself becomes your beliefs. The way you speak to yourself becomes your beliefs. If you talk to yourself in negative ways, you behave in negative ways, and you get to the place that you don't want to be. If you talk to yourself in positive ways, it's manifestation. After this call, if you're struggling with certain things and they're dictated by time of the day, if they're dictated by where you are, i.e., you sit on the sofa and watch the telly after work, I eat and I snack, do something that takes you out of that. Can you put a post-it note on the remote control that when you go and turn the telly on, it says, don't eat shit? Just something as simple as that. Can you put a post-it note on the mirror in the morning that says, you've got this, believe in yourself? Again, it sounds hippy-dippy, but these are the things that can make a massive difference. Just going to wait. Looks like there's a couple of people typing before I move on. Someone gave a tip and said, if you like watching TV, do some home exercise while doing it. Yeah, 100%. Habit. I think the book Atomic Habits, there's a bit in there called habit hacking. You do one habit that you're trying to build up whilst you do another habit that you enjoy doing consistently. Right, building. So this is actually the part where we've looked into all the problems and all the reasons why people struggle with their relationship with food. We're now going to look into the solutions, how we actually build a more positive relationship with food, and the things that we need to action from this. Rather than just watching this, we need to action things and actually try to make some change. So I'd love to get some shares with the chat box here. How do you actually build a healthy relationship with yourself? Let's see what comes to mind. And self-belief and biases will play into this. But how do you actually build a good relationship with yourself? Let's pop a few, if you're there, pop a few shares in the chat box. So I'd really appreciate it. Definitely a gratitude list, recognition of successes, no matter how small. Yeah, I love that. Try to make a list of positives. You could take that a step further. A list of positive what? A list of like positives about yourself. A list of positives of things that you're grateful for. So I've got I've written a few things down in front of me. I've got nine areas. Yes, about yourself and what you've achieved. Absolutely. I had a call with someone a few months ago who, on the call, she was very open and honest. We were discussing about wanting to work together. She was really open and honest and said, I genuinely don't believe in myself and that I don't think I'm going to achieve this. So I believe that your system that you use works, but I don't believe that I'm capable of achieving it. And I won't go into detail with what this lady did for a job, but she had a very well qualified job that would have taken 5-6 years at university to get the qualifications for. And I asked her, well, when you first started university and you first started trying to achieve your qualifications and get into the field of work that you're doing, was it easy? She was like, no, of course it wasn't easy. It was really difficult. I was like, okay, did you struggle? Yeah, of course I struggled. But you're there now, right? And she said, yeah, I've got the job now. I said, you enjoy it? Yeah, I'm good at it. Yeah, well, it's exactly the same with what we're doing here. You're going to struggle. Anything that's worth having isn't going to come to you easy. If you believe in yourself in the same way that you believe in yourself with your job or with yourself as a parent, these are far more difficult things. The things that you guys all have to face day in, day out, running a business, being a parent, the jobs that you do. Some people in here work in healthcare, saving people's lives. These things are so much harder. So I have every faith that every single person on this program can achieve everything that they want, because you've already achieved much harder things than building a better relationship with food and building a better relationship with yourself. It's just that in our society, we put so much more value on the things that we do, the things that we achieve, the qualifications that we have, than we do on building a healthy relationship with yourself and with emotions. That's all the difference is. The three main ego beliefs, and I'm going on a huge tangent here, but the three main ego beliefs are I am what I do, I am what I have, and I am what others think of me. So we can end up allowing ourselves being defined by what others think of us, by the job that we do, and by the possessions that we have. They are ego beliefs. You are not defined by that. You are defined by the person you are and the morals that you hold to yourself, not through the job that you have. So yeah, a little bit of a tangent there. So the 8 things that I've got listed down for building a good relationship with yourself. This is something that I kind of spitballed when I first put this together, and then I've kind of iterated it. So number 1, and I can't remember whether I've put this down in the slides. No, I haven't. I will do for next time. Number 1 is self-awareness. So self-awareness of your thoughts, of your feelings, of your speech, and of your behavior. So these are the 4 powers that you have. The reason they're called 4 powers is you are always in control of these. You are always in control of your thoughts. No matter whether you get intrusive thoughts, you are in control of listening to it or letting it go. You are in control of your feelings. You are in control of your speech, and you are in control of your behaviors. These 4 powers are things that no one else can fuck with. No one else can mess with these. If you let someone else dictate your feelings, you have let someone else externally into you. So if you honestly believe that these 4 things you are in control of, if you are fully in control of your thoughts, your feelings, your speech, and your behavior, there is nothing that anyone can say or do, or anything that can happen in life that will impact the way that you treat yourself in terms of how you feel your body and the exercise that you do. They're your 4 powers. Number 2 is to validate all of your feelings. Part of the human experience is to experience the entire spectrum of emotions. It is not wrong to feel sad. It is not wrong to feel depressed or stressed or anxious. What is wrong is to label yourself as an anxious person. You might suffer with anxiety. I have anxiety. I take medication for anxiety, but I wouldn't label myself as an anxious person. I'm a person who suffers with anxiety, as does everyone else, to different varying degrees. Number 3 is to respect yourself and incorporate self-care into your daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly routines. How often can you honestly look back and say, how much do you do? And I'm terrible at this, but how much do you do for self-care? And I would go as far as saying, I don't think exercise is a form of self-care. Might be controversial, but I think exercise is a bare minimum that we should all be doing. I think self-care comes to, for me, I would love to, and I never do, I would love to take a Wednesday afternoon off and like go to the cinema or do something on my own and spend a bit of time in my own company. So how often can you honestly say that you give yourself some self-care, that you go and get like a massage or whatever it is you like to do? I can't think for you. You'll know what you like to do. Number 4 is to treat yourself well, to treat your body well. Treat your body like it's the only one you've got, because it is the only one you've got. So give your body adequate nutrition, proper hydration, give your body enough sleep, move your body, get your blood pumping, get your heart pumping, future-proof yourself for the 80-year-old version of you that you will become one day, that will be incredibly thankful for the things that you're doing now. I'll say that again because I think that hits home for a lot of people. The 80-year-old version of you will be so thankful for the things that you're doing now to future-proof you for that person. Number 4 is to embrace imperfection. Accept yourself as you are right now. You are enough as you are right now. You do not need to change anything from right now to make you enough. You are already enough. Number 5 is to celebrate your efforts and all your progress. This is a journey and it's not a destination. The destination isn't a thing. This is a journey. It never ends. You just get better. Celebrate all the efforts that you put towards it. Number 6 is develop your persistence and your stubbornness, I suppose, is to lean into the difficulty, to lean into the challenges and to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Number 7 is to accept that you need a balance between altruism and narcissism. So narcissism sounds like this such negative thing, and obviously it is, but you can't be Mr. Nice Guy all the time. You will get walked over if you're Mr. Nice Guy. I have gone to therapy for a number of years to stop being Mr. Nice Guy. I have actually had to work so hard to develop a little bit of a spikiness to me. If you were able to see my screen in front of me here, I have a big idol of mine, a football idol, is Roy Keane. And I think I appreciate how Roy Keane can say it how it is. He's not afraid to tell someone what's on his mind, whether you like that or not. I appreciate someone that can actually say what's on their mind and tell you how they're feeling, because I've never been able to do that. So you do have to have a balance between altruism and be a nice person and narcissism and be someone that actually stands up for themselves. You have to stand up for yourself sometimes. And finally, number 8 is just to believe in yourself. And all of these things combined build up a fantastic relationship with yourself. And this is the journey we're on. If you've ever been to therapy, if you've ever, I'm just trying to think. I can't think of another example of how you actually build up your relationship with yourself. But these are the things that you work on: is building better self awareness, is validating your feelings, it's respecting yourself, it's treating yourself well, it's understanding that you are the way you are because of all the different things that's happened to you in your life, and it's knowing that you are going to change things bit by bit over time. Number 2 is building your relationship with your coach. So this, we are on the home stretch, by the way, guys, if you are looking at the time, and I have been talking a lot here, but I'd love to know in the chat box, how do you build up a good relationship with me? How do you build up a good relationship with your coach? This might be a bit of a noodle scratcher, but how do you actually build up a good relationship with your coach? Because at the end of the day, I'm not here. I'm not like a renter friend. I am here to actually tell you what needs to be heard, tell you what you need to hear, I should say, sometimes, whether it's going to be the thing that you want to hear. You have read the notes that I've got in front of me, Pete. That's the first thing that's on my list, is share the good, the bad, and the ugly, and to know that this is a safe space to be honest, open, and vulnerable. So you pretty much read my mind there. There is absolutely no judgment here. Like, both me and Dave, we are here to help. We are here because we want to be here. This is what we've chosen to do, to get you the best possible results with both body and mind. All that we ask inside the Life Proof program is that you collaborate with us. And inside the main Life Proof program, as I mentioned earlier, if you're lucky enough to be inside the main Life Proof program, we work very, very closely one-to-one. We have catch-up calls. Kate will tell you, Kate's inside the main program. Kate will tell you that we regularly catch up on Zoom, and we just kind of shoot the shit and we see what's going on. And one of the things that I've got qualifications in is knowing to shut up, is knowing when to actually shut the fuck up and let someone talk. Yeah, Kate's cried with me. Like, most clients, I think, cry on the call because they feel what it's like to be listened to for the first time, without any judgments, without any biases, and it's incredibly powerful. You will find a lot of things coming up that you don't realize that are underneath when you're actually having someone listen to you and fully listen to you. So yeah, inside the Life Proof program, the main program, all we ask is that you work really closely with us to create something that isn't overwhelming, that moves you forward step by step. And whether you're in the Life Proof program or the Life Proof Kickstarter, it's just whether we're doing it one-to-one or on a group aspect, we're still here to support you. We're still here to be like thinking partners with you. It's just whether it's in a group aspect or a one-to-one aspect. Moving on. Third aspect, building a healthy relationship with the process. So we've had number 1, building a healthy relationship with yourself. And this is the actual, like, how we build a positive relationship with food. So you have to build a positive relationship with yourself. You have to build a positive relationship with your coach, moi, and you have to build a positive relationship with the process. So you have to appreciate that this is a journey. It's not a destination, and progress is not linear. Progress will not be A to B to C. Progress is going to be like this, and it's going to be a squiggly line, and you're going to go all over the place. And sometimes, and Kate, I'm going to use you as an example here, sometimes a part of the process and a part of the progress is that you have to move here and then back to here. You have to maybe try something that didn't work and lose a number of stone and then put it back on again. That sometimes is a part of the process, because you figure out what doesn't work. The more you figure out what doesn't work, the closer you get to finding out what does work. Little bit of trivia question here, but does anyone here know why WD-40 is called WD-40? I think I've seen a light bulb just go off in Stephen's head. I think I just saw it happen on the webcam. I think Pete's beat him to it. 40th attempt. Yes, you are 100% correct. WD-40. I can't remember what WD stands for. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the actual like formula, but it was the 40th. You've won my respect, Pete. You've won my respect. And an invite to the next pub quiz that I go to. It was the 40th formula. The first 39 didn't work, and it was so successful. I want to say it was like the 1950s. They've kept the formula the same that entire time. So the people that made it spent 39 attempts getting it wrong, and eventually they got to WD-40. Water displacement. There you go. Christ, for an absolute bonus point. Gold star for you, mate. So yeah, appreciate that this is a journey, not a destination, and progress isn't going to be linear. You need to fuck up. You learn the most when you fuck up. You understand what you don't want when you fuck up. The other things to think about is to understand that the vision you have for yourself, the destination that you have in your mind, is not a thing. It can't be completed. You cannot complete your destination. You cannot complete the vision that you have for yourself, because what happens when you complete it or reach your destination? Boredom creeps in, and you end up back to square one because you look for the next stimulating thing, and that might often be self-sabotage. I know that in previous like years gone by for me, I would get into phenomenal shape, and I'll say that myself. I've been on photo shoots, I've competed on stage and things like that, but I could never ever maintain it. I could only lose weight or gain weight. I would lose 40 pounds, 40, and regain the 40 pounds again within the next 2 months. And it was so frustrating. So you have to realize that it's not a destination. You don't just reach that goal and then you maintain it forever. You have to keep working on it. It is a journey. You also have to realize too that your goals are in service to the mission that you're on. Your goals are checkpoints along the way. They're not the actual destination themselves. The goal is just a checkpoint to the next iteration, the next phase, the next part of you. And that's why this is a lifestyle change. This is a lifestyle change and not a short-term quick fix. Believe in yourself. And I said this so many times, but believe in what you're capable of. You're capable of so much more than you currently believe. You will have so many biases about yourself and so many unfounded, limiting self-beliefs that you need to challenge. Every time a thought crops into your head that says, I can't do this, challenge it. What evidence do I have to back up that I can't do this versus what evidence do I have to back up that I can? If you want to grow wings and fly, that's probably not going to happen, and you might have to accept that. But if you want to lose weight and feel better, which we're all here for, that is going to happen if you believe in yourself and do the things that it takes. Think about the future version of you as well. Ask yourself, what would the best version of you do when you're facing challenges, when you're facing adversity, stressful situations, and volatile emotions? How would the person that you are on your way to becoming behave in that situation? You don't need to always behave that way, but you need to behave that way more than you don't behave that way. So normalize the challenge, practice the compassion that you need to have for yourself. This journey is going to be really difficult at times, and you will need to use the evidence of the things that you've already done to prove that you can then go further. So you need to look backwards to go forward sometimes. You need to look at the things that you've already achieved to date, i.e., if you've achieved a fantastic career, if you've gone to university, if you've got qualifications, you use that as the evidence that you can then do well in this area of your life as well. If you've built a business, if you've done difficult things, if you've raised children and you're proud of them, you can use that as evidence that you can succeed in this area of your life as well. You've done far, far, far more difficult things in your life to date than you have what we're doing inside this program. I was performance managing someone at work. They resigned today, stressful, but didn't turn to food. Incredible, Kate. Incredible. And this is another example for yourself. But look at the job that you're in. Look at the family that you have. You need to recognize that and use that as evidence that you can do difficult things, and use that as evidence that you can use to propel you forward in this area of your life as well. That you've done far, far more difficult things than overcoming a relationship with food issue. Be open-minded to new ways of living. Make sure that you're focusing on progress and not perfection. So we are, as I said, we are on the very, very very, very home stretch here. I might even skip past a few bits because we're coming up to an hour and I don't want to bore the living daylights out of you. But let me know, out of those 3 areas, what needs the most work? Do you need to work most on your relationship with yourself? Do you need to work most on your relationship with me? Or do you need to work most on your relationship with the process? And the process is accepting that there are going to be challenges along the way, accepting that this is a journey and not a destination. So Kate says with the process, Pete says with himself, Steve says, Steve, I'm going to call you Steve. Is it okay to call you Steve? Yeah, I'm going to call you Steve. Steve says the process. Final bit. We're just going to cover through some of the key principles. These are the things that help you to make this a little bit more automatic without actually focusing on this and thinking, am I improving the relationship with myself? These are the kind of principles that you have in place. So the first one is going to be looking into your sleep, into your energy, and looking into things like your expectations around what we're going to achieve here. So little tips that can make a massive difference. If you're sleep deprived, you're not going to be performing very well. So make sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep on average, if you can. With stress, some stress is always going to be inevitable. But if you have chronic stress, if you live in fight and flight mode, it's going to be incredibly hard to 79. It's going to be incredibly hard to so it's 729, 729. If you live with chronic stress, if you live in fight or flight, it's going to be incredibly hard to make decisions that are going to impact you in a positive way, and you're just going to resort to your subconscious, which is holding you back right now. With your energy, there need to be sort of principles in place to manage your physical, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual energy. I'm not going to talk about this at all because we do have an energy masterclass. I think that's one of the ones that I'm doing. I can't guarantee, but I think one of the events that I've already put in place is the energy masterclass. This is where we're going to look into how to manage your energy across 4 different areas: your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual energy. Food environment, as I mentioned earlier, if anyone wants the food environment checklist, I can send that over, but make sure that your food, did I put these down? Did I list them in here? No, I didn't. I need to go through these slides and sort of add bits in. So sleep, food environment, energy, emotional awareness, checking with your emotions, allow yourself to feel them and express them, but catch yourself before you act on them. You're allowed to feel emotions, you're allowed to express them, but don't, like Kate just said earlier, don't stress eat, for example. Watch your language around food. So pay attention to your thoughts around like food being good or bad, food that you can have, you can't have. Even the things that you say where you might say, oh, I can't go more than 3 hours without eating. What says you can't? These are things that we can put as a self-belief in ourselves. We can think ourselves into being hungry, for example. And obviously watch your language of yourself. Stop calling yourself fat. Stop calling yourself lazy. Stop calling yourself useless. Stop beating yourself up for getting things wrong. Like, your subconscious really does absorb all of this stuff, and you will become what you say you are, even if it's said in jest. Watch your social media as well. Something that was a huge trigger for me when I was really struggling with binge eating, yo-yo dieting, body dysmorphia, was getting to a certain like ideal physique that I had when I did photo shoots and stepped on stage, and then getting out of shape, and then going on social media, and my algorithm, my explore page on my Instagram was all just bodybuilding and like these perfect bodies that don't even look like themselves because they're all photoshopped. So just watch what you're looking at on social media, because that can really fuck with your head if you're looking at things that aren't realistic. Also do set realistic intentions with your food and how we're going to change this. If you struggled with this for 20 years, if you struggled with this for your entire life, this isn't going to be changed overnight. So do just take a breath and fucking relax. Take a breath and take a step back and realize that you don't have to like white knuckle your way to this result. It can feel like that sometimes. We can feel so desperate to achieve something that we're like, I'll do this. Like, oh, just relax. This isn't something that we're going to change overnight. The more you relax, the more you can let go of stress, the more you can let go of this feeling of pressure, the easier this process becomes. And it's a really difficult thing to try to explain, but I felt this in myself when it comes to building this business and being a better coach and being a better person. I used to get myself into such a stressful position. I'd put so much pressure on myself for not being where I wanted to be. And that then meant I couldn't actually operate properly day to day. That's one of the reasons why I seeked an ADHD diagnosis and ended up getting medicated for anxiety, because I didn't realize how fucking stressed I was feeling and how much pressure I was putting on myself. As soon as I was able to take a step back and actually fucking enjoy things a little bit, I started doing so much better and I started feeling more fulfilled. It's the same when it comes to dieting. Take a step back, take a big deep breath, let it out, and realize that the more you relax and the more you enjoy this, the easier it's going to be. Focus on your health and focus on your enjoyment first. Make sure your results come second. You will create a process that allows weight loss to be the byproduct of the way that you're living. It's not the focus. It's not the be all and end all. It will happen and it needs to happen, but it is going to happen as a byproduct of taking a health, enjoyment, and feeling good first approach. You will build a better relationship with food, and you will get far better results for it. No worries, Pete. We're literally at the end now anyway. So yeah, I might skip past these bits because we're going past the hour mark anyway. But the other aspects to fixing this is just understanding what's causing this relationship with food issue. So like what currently isn't serving your relationship with food. Think about like, what are you doing right now that's not serving it? Is it the foods that you stock? Is it I can't think of another example off the top of my head, but like if you're eating and engaging in negative food behaviors, what is that currently giving to you right now? It's giving you something or you wouldn't do it. If eating in front of the telly because you're bored wasn't doing anything, you wouldn't do it. It's because you want to like fulfill the boredom. What's the triggering situation that causes it? Is it environmental? Is it emotional? Is it a person that triggers you? So think about what's causing this, what's triggering this, and how do you decide that you're going to, or what will you decide on how you're going to handle it next time it happens? So next time you feel that trigger, think about the cue, the routine, the reward. Next time you get that trigger, whether it's a person, it's a smell, it's an environment, whether it's an emotion, put a plan in place now for how you're going to deal with it. You have the cue, you have the routine, you have the reward. If the cue is going to remain, if you can't remove the cue, if you can't remove your knobhead of a boss, you can change the routine. The routine doesn't have to be food. It could be going for a walk. It could be getting a stress ball. It could be hitting a punch bag. I don't know. The reward is the reduction in stress. If you're bored, the cue is the boredom. The routine is eating. The reward is you're no longer bored. How can you remove the boredom? How can you do something that removes the boredom? It's your choice to change these things. And the final aspect is building of building a relationship with food. I always forget to move these on. I need to go through these slides properly and edit them up for next time. So the final stage to building a healthy relationship with food is I think, and we're all doing this to some degree if you're tracking your calories, but food journals. So there are two types of food journals. If you track your calories, you're already technically doing a food journal, but this is what we call a quantitative food journal. So you're just tracking the quantities of foods. The more in-depth type of food journal, again, I don't know if I've put these in the slides. I made these slides so long ago. No. A qualitative food journal is a food journal that I don't know if there's any apps that can do this, but a notepad is just as good. But you write down things like why you decided to eat that food. You're not just logging it on an app and saying, this is the food I ate and this is how much I ate. You log a qualitative food journal as, this is why I decided to eat this food. These were my reasons. I wanted to eat for pleasure. I wanted to eat to nourish me. I wanted to eat to satiate and fill me up. I wanted to eat to hit my protein target. Then you write down how you were feeling when you ate it. Were you calm? Were you content? Were you happy? Was it food that you'd already planned to have? Or was it eaten rashly out of emotion? And was it a bit of a fuck it moment? Like, I can't be fucked anymore. So these kind of food diaries give you such a bigger insight into what it is that's actually causing you to turn to food for comfort. So this could be a really, really key thing. It might not be something that you want to implement now, but if you are struggling with eating in the evening, for example, and it's holding you back and you keep thinking, why am I doing this? Journal, write down, why did you do this? What did you get from this? What emotions were you feeling? What kind of day did I have? What were the things that led me to actually to doing this? I think I've kind of no, I'm still on track with the slides. So final couple of bits. I promise you, this is the last two slides. Focus on your performance and the nourishment rather than just on how you want to look. I'm not going to go into any more details on that one. And finally, if there's anything that you don't like, have a discussion with me about it. Again, a bit tricky on the Kickstarter program. This can be tricky because there's no one-to-one support. But in the main LifeProof group, you obviously have me 24/7. I won't get back to you 24/7, but you can message me when you want. We can jump on a call. We can shoot the shit. If you don't like the way we're doing something, we can change the way we do it. There are many, many more ways than one to skin a cat. That's not the same, but you know what I mean. Inside in the LifeProof group program, drop a message in the group chat and we can discuss things in there. Right. This was an incredibly, I don't know if informative is the right word. This was a lot of things to say. I feel shattered now from even delivering this. So I just want to say a big thank you for your engagement. I would also love to get a little bit of feedback. I know there's only 2 of us left on the call now, but I would absolutely love it and appreciate it so much if you could give me a little bit of feedback on what it was that stood out the most. And just be wary that this isn't something that, I think the saying is, pay lip service to, where you sit and listen and all these kind of light bulbs are going off and you think this was great, this resonated, and then nothing actually changes, because information is useless if implementation doesn't occur as a result of having this information. So if you haven't done so already, if you haven't had like a pen and paper in front of you, I probably should have said at the start, a pen and paper would be useful, a notepad. Before all of these different light bulbs go out, grab yourself a pen and paper. It could be the notes app in your phone, and just write down 3 things that resonated, 3 things that you want to action and implement off the back of this. It could be the qualitative food journal. It could be put the post-it notes around the house to remind you to be kinder to yourself, or to remind you to stop doing certain things that are triggered by when you're in a certain place at a certain time. Really enjoyed it. Definitely learning more about controlling what I eat. What does that mean in I don't want to get too much out of you, but specifically, what does that mean? Like controlling what you eat, like just learning more about what it is that you should be eating. Learning more about calories and portion sizes. Yeah, that is the good news is that is the easiest part to get the grasp of. There are 3 parts: the skill, the will, the belief. The skill is knowing what to do. The will is having the will to do the work. The belief is having the belief that you can do it. The belief is the hardest part to get. The will is the second hardest part to get. And the knowledge, the skill is the easiest part to get. So if the part that you're taking the most value from is actually learning more about the calories, the portion sizes, the nutrition, that's the part that's like, you can get that. You can read it in a book. You can Google it online. Don't Google it, actually. Google will give you so much contradictory advice. But yeah. Kate, if you're still there, you might be typing away. I don't know. But I will wrap this up. I'm going to give you 20 seconds to finish anything that you might be typing in the chat box. And then I am going to call it a night. No worries. I will say a big thank you then. Thank you both of you for finishing up on this. What I would absolutely love if you could do, if you appreciated tonight, if you felt this was good, there's a lot of effort that goes into putting these together, is just to go into the group chat, the Kickstarter group chat after this, and just pop a little message in, because if someone doesn't join live, it's quite rare that they watch the replay. They say that they do, but they don't. And I feel that these are the things that are going to make the massive difference for people. If someone is massively struggling with their relationship with food, then obviously watching this is going to be the most important part to fixing that. So if you could pop a message in right after this, I'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you once again for joining. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And yeah, if you need anything, you know where I am. Pop a message in the group chat, and I'll speak to you another time.